Hey everyone, welcome to Catalyst Energies. My name is Dee. Thank you for joining me. I'm so grateful that you're here for this daily astrology report for December 10th, 2020. And I'm moving around the house. I have the house to myself for the last couple of days, so I've been recording in different locations, different lighting, of course. And it's really not about what I look like at this point. It's really about what my words are and the report and looking at this chart in front of us. So this is the daily for the 10th. This is when things start to get very real, okay? We've been leading up to this point for this entire cycle, from the new moon in Scorpio, 23 to 24 degrees. And as we see here, Venus is at the whole degree that the new moon happened, in a sextile to Pluto in Capricorn, okay? This is bringing that intention to fruition now. The Venus is who and what we love, right? Who and what we value, the relationships in our life that we value, the material world around us that we value, what is beautiful and harmonious to us, what we pull in to us. That is going to be representing that intention that we set with the new moon. And what was that intention? Well, the Phoenix rising and what we do with that afterwards. It's not so much about the Phoenix rising, although that is an essential part of this. It's really about how we go from that experience and apply it to our everyday lives. And Venus is representing our everyday lives. It is representing the material reality that we pull towards us, that we find beautiful and harmonious, okay? Sextile to Pluto and Capricorn, the woman entering the convent, the structural form that the collective society provides for us to have a transcendent experience. Well, Pluto is just destroying that. Every aspect of this structure and institutional form that we have been either given or collectively created together is being destroyed. And that allows for us with Pluto, this is the power of our transformation. And so even though those aspects are pulled away and we are really left kind of blowing in the wind in a lot of ways of how do we come to this experience? How do we find this transcendent experience? What are the institutions and the structures that allow us to have this transcendent experience? The fact that it's being destroyed right in front of us is providing a whole new template, a whole new beginning for us to have that experience. And with Venus here in a sextile, if we realize what it is in our material life that is this moment of transformation, and then we can really learn something here. And this is the moment where that new moon intention is really going to take form. Okay, we're so close to the end of this cycle. Okay, you can see here the sun is going to is right up against the moon's south node, and we have a mystic rectangle right here. So you see this opposition here with the moon and the north node, Mars in Aries in opposition to our Libra moon, and then the trines and the sextiles that allow us to release the tension that we get from these two oppositions. So I'm going to talk about that as well. But honestly, with the moon in Libra squaring also all of this Capricorn energy, Jupiter in 29 degrees Capricorn, Saturn at 30 degrees Capricorn in its home sign. These are the decisions being made right now. And Jupiter sees the writing on the wall and is expanding on it. It is standing up and expanding on what he sees written in the tea leaves, right? That's the degree, 29 degrees Capricorn, a woman reading tea leaves. Jupiter has gone to the oracle and has got the information and is now expanding on it and defending it, whereas Saturn is the judge and is absolutely in communication with the others and making this decision right now that will absolutely bring us into the Aquarian age. That's what's so important about this Jupiter-Saturn conjunction on the solstice in Aquarius. This is the Stargate that opens, and we choose which timeline that we're going to be on for the Aquarian age proper, okay? So this is a big day, and the moon in Libra is going to, we are going to be tested in terms of our own personal and inner ability to keep ourselves balanced. Libra is about the application of our knowledge. It is a very behaviorally motivated adjustment, right? We are using our knowledge, we're using instruction to find balance, and we are going to be really tested with this today. And when we have this mystic rectangle, which I discovered is called Lucifer's rectangle, wow. These connections here, these sextiles and these trines are really going to help dissipate or release the tension from this, especially these two, obviously these two oppositions. So the Mars in Aries in opposition to the moon in Libra. Mars is so strong in Aries. It is about, what am I going to do? Mars releases energy. Okay. It is an output of energy. And in its home sign of Aries, it is strong, it is courageous, it is ambitious, and it's impulsive. And it's about, what am I going to do? What am I going to accomplish? What am I going to move towards? Okay. And specifically at 20 degrees Aries, it is about overcoming some sort of crisis with compassion, but it's really coming from the individual acting on their impulsiveness, acting on their courage and their bravery to be compassionate, but it's really about us and our individual ego consciousness acting. And the moon in Libra is really, it's not as strong. Let's just put it that way. And so the potential here is to get really pulled into this impulsive, really warrior-like behavior. Even though it's meant to be compassionate, it still turns out to be all about us and what we're doing. And the moon is saying, well, let's think about other people that are involved. Let's think about applying our knowledge to find balance as opposed to just impulsively acting on things. The sun is going to be in an opposition to the North Node, is meeting the South Node. This is going to be exact tomorrow on the 11th, as well as Mars in a trine as well to the South Node, also exact on the 11th. So those aspects are going to be much more prominent on the 11th, especially when the moon moves into Scorpio. And so the depth of intensity and feeling is going to be so much to deal with by that time. And so with the moon in Libra today, this, especially with these squares here, it's really going to test our ability to stay balanced. What have we learned? And how can we apply that to finding a sense of peace? Okay, because that is really at risk of being disrupted. The moon will be in a quincunx to Neptune at the same time that it's in a sextile to the sun. So the good news is that this is part of alleviating the tension, is this sextile. And even at the same time that it's in a quincunx to Neptune. I mean, this is just going to, this is just the swell of the ocean, right? That is so powerful. It just takes over everybody. And we've been talking about this for a while, being on that surfboard. And the moon is just like, well, I'm just going to follow the prescribed procedures here and do what needs to be done that I've learned in order to keep the balance, and Neptune's just like, yeah, right. I'm just going to swallow you. So it's going to take some adjustment. And the sextile to the sun, I think, is really going to help that, because it's at that position where we want to move to safer places. Okay. We want to go somewhere that is not as menacing. And I think that this is going to help us emotionally get to that place. And there will be some sort of prescribed function that we can adhere to in this moment that will allow that to happen, that we can transcend just a little bit the danger of what Neptune and Pisces could represent if we have not trained ourselves properly to get through this time. So if you've been riding that surfboard, this is where your skills are really going to come in handy. Okay. And that prescribed function is going to be all of the training and all of the practice that you've been doing. And so if you've ever had to practice a skill over and over, eventually you don't even think about doing it. You just do it. And there's a lot of wisdom in that when you don't have to really think about it. You just follow the formula. And that's going to be a big part of the 10th. Okay, is following that formula in order to find some level of balance. Okay. And like I said, we're going to want to transcend the danger, move somewhere where that is more promising and safe for us and future generations. Now, the sun is, we're going to talk more about this on the 11th, but reaching the South Node. Remember, the South Node is the tail of the dragon. So there's a real I don't want to say a risk necessarily, but just keep in mind that the sun is the fulfillment of who we are, the fulfillment of our personality. It's going to be very tempting to identify ourselves and our fulfillment with where we've come from. And there's a lot of power here with the South Node. This is our karmic mastery. We have already done this. You know, we've already managed to get to a point in the past where we can kind of see ahead, right, of what's going to happen and assure ourselves of supply in the future and plan ahead, okay? Plan ahead. This is what this is really going to be about. It's not where we're headed collectively. Where we're headed collectively is this moment, this Gemini energy of all this multiplicity of ideas and perspectives and information. But in the meantime, it's going to be really important that we, at least for the moment, identify ourselves with this ability to assure some sort of future supply so that we can survive, okay? And because we don't know what's going to happen. I mean, we can sit here and make predictions all day, but the reality is that Uranus, you can just never underestimate Uranus. And Uranus isn't really in the mix for the 10th. The 11th, absolutely, the moon is going to be opposite Uranus on the same day that the sun trines Mars and is in direct conjunction with the South Node. So the 11th is going to be even more I think is going to be, a lot of this is going to come to a head, I think, on the 11th, especially with the moon then in Scorpio and the depth of feeling and the strength of the the darkness is going to be very very palpable. Okay. But for now, for today, it's really about not getting totally pulled into Mars. That's just like, I am the warrior and I am going to fix this problem. And I am going to use everything that I can to save everybody. And it's not that that's not useful. And we're going to see that there's a lot to be said for that when this trine happens between Mars and the sun and the South Node on the 11th, and even in the sextile to the North Node. Okay. Remember, trines are very, very foundationally supportive. You don't have to do much with them for those things to get traction from each other. Okay. But we want to find the balance point here between that totally ambitious, impulsive Mars and the moon in Libra, which is, you know, traditionally very wishy-washy. You will just put yourself emotionally wherever you need to be in order to find balance. And if that if that means that, like, you just have to fall into your responsibilities without really thinking about it, we will do that. And in this case, it's not necessarily a terrible thing, but we don't want to give up our own sense of self and action either. So we have to find this balance point. So, but the big thing, I think, is Venus at the new moon point in a sextile to Pluto in Capricorn. This is gonna bring that new moon intention right to the surface, and it's gonna be right in our face, and we're gonna get to decide and see for sure if we have in fact allowed those new moon intentions to manifest. And if we have, and we identify that, then I think that Pluto will be an agent of transformation rather than just a total destruction. Either way, it's destructive. It's what we do with it that really makes the difference. So that's the daily for the 10th of December, 2020. Thank you so much for being here. If you like this content, and you can subscribe and like the video, that really helps spread the message. I'm going to start posting on Rumble and BitChute pretty soon, because YouTube is engaging in some actions that I'm not in total agreement with, as you can tell by my background right now. I'm not really into what YouTube is up to. So I'm going to start shifting to other platforms. I will make sure that you know about it. But in the meantime, please subscribe, like the channel or like the video so other people can at least find it. And if you're interested in a reading, everything you need is in the description box below. I'll be live tomorrow morning on the 10th. I'm filming this on the 9th for the Daily Medicine Intuitive. And I'm really curious about how that's going to turn out, because this is an incredible period of time. So take care of yourselves. I love you all. I'll see you on the next video.